Welcome. My name is Anya Lewis, and today you'll be viewing a presentation on online education and whether students prefer this style of learning over traditional learning. This survey instrument was distributed to 22 current students at a variety of institutions. This study was important because as online learning continues to become a trend, these findings help you to understand a little bit more if students are having trouble with the transition. Now, the fun part of the research, the survey. I asked students 7 questions with different answer choices and skills relating to whether they feel they learn more in an online environment versus a traditional classroom setting. These questions measured how important specific tools were to the student if they were receiving the content. Once the survey was collected, the results were ran through Microsoft Excel, which allowed me to create graphs to help you visualize what is being presented today. We'll go through and discuss each question so that in the future courses you create, you can hit these marks that students really care about. Students were asked to rate whether they gain more knowledge in an online, traditional, or a combination of both settings. As you view the graph, you will see that from the 22 participants that took this survey, they believe they gain more knowledge in a face-to-face setting. This was surprising to me to see the final numbers for this inquiry because most of these students rated a question that deal with classroom setting later in the presentation the exact opposite. 40.9% of students that took the survey chose that 16 to 30 students were in their face-to-face courses versus their online ones. This question was important to ask because it determines if students felt they learned better in a smaller classroom setting versus an online environment that could have well over 30 students enrolled that instructors have to focus on and provide feedback to. Does location matter? This question was one of my favorite to see the stats come back on. Just how important is it? Do students care whether or not they have a dedicated setting to learn, or do they enjoy the freedom to log in at their leisure? Although, earlier in this presentation, remember, students said that they felt they learned more when content is delivered face to face. Now, most didn't seem to care if their classrooms were physical. Why is that? Do students find online education more difficult than content being delivered in a classroom setting? This was one of those questions that landed right in the middle statistically. Some students felt learning online was slightly difficult, while others felt their experience wasn't difficult at all. Are students able to keep up with the coursework presented online? Because there are no classroom settings in online education, students are faced with the responsibility to self-pace the coursework and turn it in by the proposed deadlines. From the survey distributed to current students, there was a split. The same number of students feel that keeping up with online assignments are easy, while the other half believes it's difficult. Just how much time are students spending on coursework in face-to-face settings? Although students who took this survey expressed that they would prefer face-to-face courses over online education, they also noted they spent about 3 to 5 hours more on coursework in classroom instruction. Online education being a trend didn't come out of thin air. Would students refer their friends or peers to online education and learning styles? Majority of them chose that they would. Hopefully you're still hanging in there as we've reached the end of this presentation. Some key takeaways are, though students prefer face-to-face interactions overall, they really seek to come